we are going all around the globe this morning. We're now going to be talking with Yasemin Acar, and she's the Freedom Flotilla Coalition press officer, and Thiago Ávila, who is the steering member of the FFC. And the reason we're talking to them this morning is shockingly an incident on Friday, apartheid Israel having assaulted or bombed, attacked by drone, we are told to believe, or led to believe, the Freedom Flotilla that was taking much needed aid to Gaza. That, of course, is reminiscent of the apartheid Israeli assault on the Mavi Marmara, sadly, in which 10 people were killed while carrying aid from Turkey to Gaza in the year 2010. Yasemin and Thiago, Assalamu alaikum, good morning, welcome to the program.
Alaikum salam, thank you for having us.
Alaikum salam, Julia, pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I remember you from a previous interview, Thiago. Not sure if you remember having the interview with us. Where are you guys at the moment? Not on the flotilla, I should imagine.
We're speaking to you from Malta, Valletta, and we are not on the ship. We are at shore.
Okay. We do know that urgent calls were made to different governments, to Malta, to Cyprus, and other nearby countries to assist the flotilla. So let me start with you, Thiago. Take us back to the beginning. Why was it decided that a flotilla should go to Gaza, knowing the madness that is going on with the madman Netanyahu? I mean, I spoke to someone earlier on from Syria, a professor, and he said that Erdogan from Turkey describes Netanyahu as being a fireball. He's just trying to demolish absolutely everything in his field of sight.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Julie, because whenever someone questions about our mission, our Freedom Flotilla, Solidarity, Nonviolent mission, we need to talk about the purpose. Why do they exist? The thing is that people get out of their homes, the people who are everyday people who are from all walks of life, all areas of expertise, all ages as well. They get out of their safe places to go and show solidarity to the Palestinian people, because the Palestinian people are being victims of an ongoing genocide and ethnic cleansing for 78 years. And that they have seen occupation of their territory, 100% of that territory occupied since 1967. And then Gaza itself was occupied and turned into an open-air prison and a concentration camp, and now an extermination camp for 18 years. And even worse, now that has been 576 days since the escalation of this genocide, we've seen 61 days that not a single bottle of water, not a single piece of bread has entered Gaza, because the leaders of the Zionist entity, in their plans to ethnic cleanse that area, they are using starvation and thirst and lack of medications as weapons of war. And that's why people need to go from everywhere, from all countries. They need to mobilize and do what, unfortunately, the governments or the international institutions are not being able to do, which is to stop this genocide, to fight hunger, to fight the death of children. We're seeing a situation where almost now 300,000 children are starving to death in Gaza. What would...
And I think Thiago and Yasemin, it seems as if the idea is to wipe out future generations of Palestinian people, and that is why they deliberately targeting innocent children. They don't want a Palestinian identity in future generations. Yasemin, let's understand your commitment to the flotilla. I presume you are Turkish, and I know that there are a lot of people that have joined this movement, the FFC, even going back a couple of years when I spoke with them. They are truly committed, and you kind of wonder that people on the street, people like you and I, talk about the cause of the genocide. Why are governments not still hearing our pleas, our cries, and our desperation for the emancipation of the Palestinian people?
Yeah, well, I am Kurdish, but from Turkey. You know, we've been witnessing for 18 months people with a good heart, people who believe in human rights, people who believe in international rights, and people, you know, who are inclined with their humanity, taking it to the streets. You know, they've been repressed, they've been oppressed, they've been jailed. You know, we see what happens to Palestinians in the United States when they speak up for their people, what the universities do to them. I mean, people lose their jobs, but that doesn't hinder people from going to the streets, because we see that our governments, rather than doing something about it, they fuel this genocide. They aid and abet this genocide. I'm a citizen of Germany, and it's the second largest weapons supplier to this genocide. And Germany claims to have learned from its history, but it continuously repeats its history, and it's because they're tied to these are imperialist powers, and it's in my eyes there's always a sense of white supremacy, and you know, instead of admitting their own issues around anti-Semitism, they're trying to push it into the Middle East and make it a problem of the Middle Eastern people, whereas it was never a problem. We always lived in harmony. We always lived in peace. I remember in Turkey, my neighbor was Jewish, and I didn't know that this person was Jewish until I was way older, because you know, it wasn't an issue. And these governments use this, use religion, use division to justify them genociding, ethnically cleansing Palestinians, and the ones, and you know, and oppress those who stand in solidarity with Palestinians.
Yeah, sadly, I think with Germany, I've been told by one of my previous guests a long time ago that the reason why Germany is supporting this genocide is their collective guilt regarding the Holocaust. And if this is their way of perhaps making up to the Jewish people and the Zionists, this is their way of their support. It is actually sickening when the question to be asked is, where's the humanity of all of these people? It doesn't matter what religion, color, creed you might be, but it's all about, we're one people, we're one humanity. But that being said, Thiago, tell us now, what is the current situation? Well, let's go right back to Friday. What was the eyewitness accounts that you and Yasemin received when the boat was attacked, when the drone attacked this boat on its way to Gaza with supplies? And also, does it mean that the supplies were all lost? Were there any injuries or fatalities? Talk to us from that moment onwards. Where do we stand with the flotilla?
Thank you very much, Julie. Actually, it was a sequence of situations that happened that gave the environment for this attack. First, 9 hours before the attack, the flag of the boat was revoked by the country of Palau. And then the country of Palau revoked that flag in the middle of international waters, which is something totally irregular for a nation to do. And from that moment on, the boat had very little protection. And what we were trying to do for a few days before they removed the flag was to board our participants, because we have a delegation of almost 90 people from over 20 countries that were in Malta to board the Conscience and continue their journey to Gaza. The Conscience already had participants and captain and crew to go to Gaza taking humanitarian aid, all the aid we can carry on the boat. But we were about to board. We were 5 hours away from boarding the boat when the boat was attacked. And it was a miracle, Julie, that no one died on that attack, because they targeted the front of the boat with 2 bombs, one at midnight 0023 hours, and the second 2.5 minutes later. So those bombs, the first one pierced the upper deck. It is a very thick steel, so were very strong bombs to do this kind of damage. And the second bomb went straight inside the boat and destroyed the main the emergency generator, most of the electrical system of the boat, and many of the mechanical parts of the boat. And when it happened, a huge fire came out. And then the crew and the participants started to put down this fire. But a few minutes afterwards, a tugboat came and they asked for the support of the tugboat. But the tugboat that has a huge, a great firefighting system will not use the system to put down the fire. Instead, all they wanted to tell to the participants and the crew that abandon your ship, come to our ship. And then they said, no, we need to put out this fire. We cannot abandon the ship. We cannot abandon the aid that we're taking to Gaza. And so they started to put down the fire. And it took almost an hour for this tugboat to start throwing water and fighting the fire there. Until at 3 a.m., the fire was out. And there were minor injuries of the crew and captain tried to put down this fire. It was also a miracle that no one was severely injured or wounded from their circumstances. After the fire was out, instead of providing assistance, this tugboat only suggested that they abandon the ship and came into the tugboat. And they said that on the tugboat, they would have all the assistance they needed. On the conscience, they would have no assistance. So this was very odd and suspicious behavior from someone who, to someone who was just a victim of an attack, an unprovoked attack, to see this kind of behavior from someone who was supposed to.
Can I come in? Can I come in there, Thiago? Do you
Yes.
know who the owners, which country actually sent out the tugboat?
Yes, there was as soon as the drones threw the bomb, a distress signal was sent, a Mayday signal was sent from the boat, and then no country responded to it. Only Cyprus a few minutes later. But then the Maltese government said that this tugboat was at the service of the Maltese government, which was kind of weird. Why? How close this boat was and how long it took to start fighting the fire. And then the next day we get a boat very early. No, actually, it's the same day. Very early in the morning, we get a boat and we go there. And when we go there to provide assistance to accompany a rescue mission, the Coast Guard stops us from boarding the boat and to get there and to provide the assistance. And this get us very frustrated with it. And then we get back to Maltese shore. The next day we try once again to get close and to provide assistance to our boat. And the Maltese Coast Guard stop us, even with elite commandos at place. And now there was not only one patrol boat, but 4 patrol boats circling the Conscience. The Conscience was asking to enter Maltese territorial waters because it can be attacked at any time on international waters. So the Maltese government rejected this request, but after a lot of political pressure, now the Maltese government finally said that they can repair the boat, and the Maltese government will pay for the repairs of the boat, but they will do it in international waters. The demand of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition and of the people who are inside the Conscience is that either they get in and they get a guarantee that the Maltese government will not seize the boat, will not take control of the boat and prevent it from departing after it's repaired, or they will fix it on international waters so that the Conscience can continue the mission.
Let me come to you now, Yasemin. What has happened to all the people that were on board the flotilla? Are they now safe, or are they still on board the boat? Where is the boat currently? Has it gone into Maltese waters to be repaired? And what happens once, let's assume the Maltese government won't hold back the boat once they've fixed it? Are you still planning to continue with your journey?
The people are safe, alhamdulillah, because we were really, really scared for their lives, being bombed. We didn't know if they were injured. We have 4 comrades who have minor injuries like burns and cuts, but they're fine. they're still in international waters at the moment. We are waiting for the Maltese authorities, to give us a green light to come to Malta and then start the repairs. We do demand that we demand safe passage, and we demand safe passage, especially to Gaza, because this mission doesn't stop. We can't stop as long as this total blockade still exists. As long as the illegal siege exists, as long as the genocide continues, it is our duty, to use our power, our collective power, to do something about it, to amplify the voices of the Palestinians, but most importantly, to provide them with the much needed aid. As Thiago mentioned earlier, not one bottle of water has entered since 61 days. Not one loaf of bread entered since 61 days. No medicine, and half of the population, more than half, I think, as well, are children. And as you said, there's like this collective punishment. They don't want the next generations to thrive, because the next generation is a threat to the Zionist entity. Because they know their history, and if there's generations coming one by one after one, it's not, they won't be able to ethnically cleanse Palestinians. And our job is to support Palestinians in that, support them in their fight, support them in their resistance, and make sure that we are not just in solidarity in words, but we are in solidarity with actions. And we really do hope that, the world has heard about the fact that a ship that is carrying humanitarian aid was bombed, yes, in international waters, but in European territories. Yet Europe has not reacted to it. But this means that Israel knows no bound. Israel has no red lines, and the international community is watching. And the people that have heard about it, I hope that they find it in their hearts to say, we have to do something about about this.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. I'm way over my time. But very quickly, are the provisions on board intact? Is it safe? And if you get the green light to go, will it be all systems go? How soon do you imagine that would happen?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
You go for it.
We hope it's sooner than later, because each day passing means more horrific crimes and people dying of hunger. So we have to get it fixed as soon as possible, and we have to be on our way as soon as possible. And we are determined that we will do so with the power of the people.
Inshallah, lots of du'as that the ship does get fixed, and that you are able to make your onward journey, and the aid does reach the people that need it most, and that's of course our brothers and sisters in Palestine. This is a developing story. Hopefully we will talk with you guys again later in the week or early next week, so that you can give us an update as to where you're at with the flotilla and the mission to be continued. Allah accept all of your efforts. Go well. He keeps you safe. And salamu alaikum to you. To you both.
Thank you so much. Sorry, Thiago, I had to get a call.
No worries. Salam. It is 6 minutes after 10 o'clock, and of course, wrap-up time for me. But that also means that we're going to be taking a listen to Hafiz Imran Chunara. He is the CEO of Africa Muslim Agencies. And in the Fired Up series today, he's going to talk to us about it's never a 50-50 situation. Sounds very interesting. It's never a 50-50 situation. So we leave it there. Thank you indeed for being with me this morning. Don't forget, you can join me on mid-morning tomorrow at 11 a.m. Till then, keep safe. Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz.